I'm all right with believing that there's diverse forms of writing that our people have used. It's absolutely true because we have been in diverse captivities. We have been in the Persian captivity, Egyptian captivity. We have been in the Babylonian captivity. So it is no surprise that we had diverse forms of writing. However, it's still fascinating that the world does not publish that Paleo-Hebrew can interpret Bantu languages much better than Latin alphabet. In fact, the Latin alphabet cannot interpret the meaning of a word unless somebody told you what the word means in their language and you had a physical interaction. But the Paleo Hebrew script, which is pictographic, can interpret Bantu, and we gotta ask the world why that is possible, and people don't talk about it. So this is the exposure of why these people have been hiding our identity all this time.
What if one of history's greatest forgotten stories has been hidden in plain sight? What if the so-called lost tribes of the Bible have been among us all along? Join a global conversation exploring the historical, cultural, linguistic, scientific, and biblical evidence that the Abantu, the people scattered throughout Africa, the Americas, and the nations, are the authentic descendants of the ancient biblical Israelites. Our identity is not founded on religion, but on lineage, ancestral continuity, culture, language, and nationhood. Our mission is truth, restoration, reconciliation, and spiritual awakening according to the scriptures. Bring your knowledge, bring your research, bring your scholarship, join the conversation, subscribe to Bantu Biblical Israelites. The awakening has begun.
So, greetings, Yemi, Salama, Mbote, Butwabu, Ubona, Molweni. So those are the greetings in different Bantu languages, and I want to add more on top of that. But my name is Yahunde Batakane, and I'm honored to be here with you and to be joined by Brother Gabriel Israel and Brother Solomon Mugaga. Uh, Beautiful, wonderful brothers. And so today they bring to us, introducing to us a conversation on linguistics. And so I will let them personally introduce it themselves individually, and so we can be able to proceed from there. Welcome, Brother Gabriel.
Thank you so much. It's a great privilege to be with you, both servants of the Most High, and it makes me say Kalulu Kayakua, which is another way to say a joyful shout to the Most High. Most people know that word to be hallelujah, but that's just some strange tongue to use. Anyway, yeah, this subject is prophetic, I have to say, and being a part of it just makes me think of Acts chapter 2, Zephaniah 3, 9. But I guess we'll be getting into all that and what it has to do with this conversation right after we all introduce ourselves. But thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you so much, Brother Gabriel. Let's hear the introduction from Brother Solomon as well. Karibu.
Oh yes, blessed to be here. Blessed to be here with y'all, and we pray that the Most High opens our lips to share with y'all everything that was meant to share with everyone. We really can't wait to press on with this entire session. So looking forward to it. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Brother Solomon, for that introduction. And so you are watching from Bantu Biblical Israelites platform, and the intention of this platform is to be able to bring to you speakers from all walks of life from different parts of the world to be able to share the word, to be able to bring in, the parts, because the Bible says that we all know in part, and so because we know in part, if we stay to ourselves, we are not complete. If you keep the parts that you know to yourself, it's not enough. It's not enough for you. It's not enough for the other person. So The platform brings everybody together so we can be able to all share our perspective, to be able to share where we come from, to be able to share the inside knowledge that the Most High has revealed to us, and to be able to share our culture, our tradition, our languages, and just our lifestyle, so that we can all continue to grow together, grow into a common understanding, to a common ground that the Most High intend us to be. Because at the end of the day, the two sticks have to come together and we have to be united. And so this is an opportunity for that. And if you're out there and you can you have knowledge and information to share, you're welcome to join us as well. But today we are glad to have Brother Gabriel and Brother Solomon with us to be able to give us an introductory uh, conversation on something that they've been working on. And so the, I want to just let you guys maybe introduce what you have been working. Can you tell us what have you guys been working on and what do you want to share with us today? Brother Solomon, maybe you?
All right, so our people have been facing challenges for centuries or for generations. And when I talk about our people on this platform, I'm referring to the scattered Israelites, or particularly those that uh, those that have known themselves to be Gentiles, but now realize they're Israelites.
Mhm.
This group of people has lost a lot of heritage, not just lost identity, but has lost self-awareness in so many aspects. Starting with if I talk about if I talk about exemplary, the form of writing, um, a lot of our people speak their languages, and in Africa or in America, and they use the Latin alphabet. If not, they're trying to fight colonialism. They're trying to fight the aspect of being dominated by the Gentiles and being ruled over by people, but they have failed to be able to express themselves independent of the writing systems of the Gentiles. And the question mark starts at, why is it that it's only the people of Negro descent that lack a form of writing?
Mm.
If you look at the people across the world, you look at the Chinese. Chinese got a form of writing. Arabs have a form of writing, and Europeans, and pretty much even in African continent, you look at the Egyptians; they have a form of writing. The ancient Egyptians had a form of writing. The people who are Ethiopian and the Sudanese people of Sudanic descent, they have a form of writing, and this is a testimony that I have had from personal experiences. But when you get into the majority of the Bantu clusters, most of their forms of writing are just adopted or copied from diverse forms. And those forms of writing cannot interpret their language independently or effectively. So, what we have been working on is trying to understand what the Most High meant for the Feast of Pentecost in the book of Acts, chapter 2, when the disciples got together and they had cloven tongues of fire on their mouth, and they were able to speak words that were heard across the different Israelites that were scattered. So, the project that we have been working on, I don't want to call it Project Tower Babel, but it is not for the same purpose as the Tower Babel. It is for getting our people to understand each other as it was on the Feast of Pentecost. We have realized in this project that we've been working on that our people share a common language, just different variations. And our people lack diction, and they lack a proper connection to their diverse forms of speech. But because of thousands and I would say thousands of years of dispersion that our people have experienced, we have forgotten our roots in our linguistics, and we begin to think of each other as foreign to each other, or we think of each other as different race altogether. But these pictographs that we've been working on, as you will see in later on, they are forms of writing that can interpret our language um, independent of English alphabet, as long as you master it. So this is how we want to train our children to speak, and it will help us preserve the meanings of words. It will help us preserve our languages. Our languages cannot be preserved in a foreign tongue, in a strange language. Our language has to be preserved in our proto form of understanding our language.
Okay.
So this is what we've been working on, and I can't wait to share it with the rest of y'all and display it to you guys with Gabe.
Awesome. That's sounds very exciting. So
Yeah.
interesting. So when you say it seems like really it's something very not only is it personal, but it's something that passionate as well into wanting to bring this to the people, to our people. And I think I agree with you in terms of they are needing to be like I was talking about common ground, a language. Like we all speak different dialects of the same language, and so having it makes sense to have a one writing system, right, that we can all use as being people because we Latin languages use Latin writing, writing alphabet. I mean, we all use that now because of because of colonization. All people, Arabs has different dialects as well, and all of the dialects of Arabic uses the Arabic writing system. So it's just as simple as that. The Mandarin languages they use, most of their writing system actually are very much similar to one another. But just quickly, I know. I think I like the idea behind this, the inspiration behind this work. I'm curious though to also just hear what because I think you said, but I'm also curious to hear what makes this different, right? Because I think we have other few people who have tried over the years to bring to create a language. Even I think maybe there's two questions in one. One is this a complete invasion of a language system that we can write, we can use, or is this related to something else? If so, if it is unique, if it is related to something ancient or unique, then that's one answer. But then if it's unique, if it's new, something new that you're coming up, there's all the other people. I don't know if you came across the Mandombi script, which was created by the Congolese, 1978, to write Bantu languages. There's what we call the Ditema Tedino, like Dinoko, something like that. So it's a language writing system from Southern Africans, like the Zulu, Xhosa, those Bantu language around there. There's another language system called Mwangego script, which was actually founded for languages like the Chewa and the Kendonde, like languages in the southern region. Um, and then we have different other dialects, whether we call the Ajami, which is it's a variation of Arabic that Bantu people have preserved within the Swahili coast. And then we have the Sorabe, which is like a Malagasy, it's kind of related to Arabic. But this, you can see some people were coming up with language writing system based on something that's already there. Others were inventing from like from for the instance of Mandombe, the inventor claims that he was inspired, that the spirit inspired him to write this down, to bring this to us. In the case of modern Hebrew, right? We are told that the guy that invented modern Hebrew, he invented this. It did not like he was inspired by ancient Hebrew. I mean, we can whether it's true or not. That's a question of another time. But I quickly just wanted to know what was this inspired from something that was already there, or was this something new? And then if it was, what makes it different from the other ones that are already present?
All right. So, what makes this different? I'd like to give you an example. And no, I did not just come up with this. I cannot say that I just came up with something new, because, of course, the scriptures tell us all the time to return back to the ancient paths. So, I can say that what's the difference between this? Uh, we waking up to be Israelites or people, chosen people of the Most High. There's a lot of things that we had to unravel to realize that. We have realized that we're the real people and the land belongs to us. And we have realized a lot of many other things that have been stolen from us. Our identity has been stolen, but not just our identity, but even our form of writing system has been taken advantage of or stolen from us. And I'll tell you that the writing system which I am basing this on is ancient Hebrew pictographics, or I'd say Paleo-Hebrew. And the pictographic Paleo-Hebrew, it fascinates me that it's able to interpret uh, thousands, or not even thousands, if not all Bantu words that you can use and speak in your ordinary dialect of Bantu. It does not mean just one dialect of the Congolese or Swahili or Zulu. So this is what makes it different in that anybody can learn how to use this Paleo Hebrew pictographic system to interpret what their words mean, what their names mean, and not just in Bantu. I've been surprised. I've been able to interpret names with this pictographic Paleo Hebrew in even the Iwi language of Ghana, uh, and West African. I'd say West African languages. So it's amazing that it's able to do that because they call that writing system Ancient Sumerian. So there's a system or there's a form of diction which is not the ordinary form of dictionary. So last example I'd give on the question you asked is how, for example, how is it different from the system of the Congolese, writing systems the Congolese came up with in the 1970s. If you look at the Japanese and the Chinese, a Chinese can read what the Japanese script is saying, but in a different form of language. And the Chinese can read what the Japanese can read what the Chinese wrote, but they won't say it the same way because the Chinese colonized the Japanese, but they use a pictographic form of writing, um, or a form that they understand that they can speak in their different languages. Now, for example, if you have a picture of a chicken, everybody in the world will know that's a chicken, but not everyone is going to call it a chicken. Some will call it inkoko. Some will call it, whatever they call it. So this form of writing system, which is Paleo Hebrew, though, is interpreting Bantu languages in that it fits the context of everything they're saying in their language, and it fits the cultural context in many aspects. And there's many other ancient scripts that can be adopted along that line. But the Bantu Paleo, I call it Bantu, forgive me, but I'd say the Paleo Hebrew script is a good way to use interpretation of these languages.
That's very good. Thank you so much for highlighting that. And within that same framework, I'm thinking, like because when you look at the other language that I share with you that are already written there that our Bantu people have tried to to come up with. Um, some of them have ancient inspiration, like there's a language in a basin of Congo that actually has Hebrew letters inside. I mean, ancient Hebrew, and I have to keep emphasizing that because it's two different things, and Hebrew and ancient Hebrew are two different languages. And so Paleo Hebrew really. Um, and so what I've noticed is that our people have, because I mean the idea actually, I do not necessarily subscribe to the idea that our ancestors, that we do not have any writing system, or that our ancestors didn't, right? Because I strongly believe that we do, because our people have been inventing writing systems over the centuries. You know, and we have one writing systems in Cameroon, you know, other, you know, the Bamoon script. We have writing that are older, 14th centuries, and what's not. We have the Lovo caves in the Congo basin, and you know that have been found with actually literally ancient Paleo-Hebrew, like you're saying. They're all over these caves. You know, we have different other variations of writing systems that have been found in different locations over time, like the Shango bones, which have been discovered between Uganda and Congo, like that region of Semu Lake River. These are ancient. It's still, even if it's a mathematical tool, mathematics is a language. You know, this is still a language writing systems that have been used for centuries by our ancestors. You know, so for me, I would almost say, I don't know if it's safe. You can share your point after this. I would almost say that our ancestors even in not knowing who we truly are as being, you know, the Habiru or the Habari, as you like to describe them. I think they're still, because they are innovators, they're still brilliant minds, so they're still trying to create something to work for themselves. And I don't necessarily, so I'm just going to say that here, all of those languages are still very important, those systems, because they're keeping our people going, right? Because they want to be able to, people are trying to be authentic, they're trying to create something for themselves that work for them, that define them. Because you have to understand, a writing system is not, it's not simply just a, it's not as simple as a language. A writing system sometimes is very spiritual, is coded. There's many, when you look at what people call modern Hebrew, is actually very code. They use very code, like secret codes within their language to say, to send different messages. And so when you associate with a writing system, you are, when you subscribe to a particular writing system, you are subject to that, whatever, if, whether you know it or not. You, kind of like how they say English is a dark language, or is a coded language. Yes, when you speak English, that's what you're participating in, whether you know it or not. So when you think about that, it makes sense that our ancestors have been trying over the years to recreate their own writing system, to whether it was creating a new completely different writing system, or trying to revive something older. It's still very powerful. So I would say that, I don't know if your work might be probably the one thing that is actually trying to revive something more ancient. Would you agree with me on that? And if so, what do you want people to expect from this particular work? Now then, yeah.
All right. So the truth is, what I hope to achieve, and what we both hope to achieve, my brother and I, is unification, and understanding. Uh, Understanding the scriptures of the Most High for what they truly are, in the true form that they were written in, and not just that, but understanding each other as a people, being able to establish the gathering of our lost people through communication and understanding. Because the barriers within us are more than just the colonial borders. They have become barriers of communication, and antagonism amongst each other, because as long as somebody cannot understand the other party, there is no form of there's no form of connection or unity that can last for so long. That's what happened on the Tower of Babel, when the Most High scattered the people, and the Tower of Babel was still on this continent, on the African continent, I believe. So that scattering that happened to our people, or to different people across the board, happened because of failure to understand each other. But unification in understanding can help us come out of the predicament of losing the quality of self-awareness, losing the quality of remembrance in so many other aspects. I can tell you that the deterioration can be prevented, the racial deterioration of our people, through understanding their language from the roots. So yes, I am trying to go back to the ancient forms of use, and I'm all right with believing that there's diverse forms of writing that our people have used. It's absolutely true because we have been in diverse captivities. We have been in the Persian captivity, Egyptian captivity. We have been in the Babylonian captivity. So it is no surprise that we had diverse forms of writing. However, it's still fascinating that the world does not publish that Paleo-Hebrew can interpret Bantu languages much better than Latin alphabet. In fact, the Latin alphabet cannot interpret the meaning of a word unless somebody told you what the word means in their language and you had a physical interaction. But the Paleo Hebrew script, which is pictographic, can interpret Bantu, and we got to ask the world why that is possible, and people don't talk about it. So this is uh, the exposure of why these people have been hiding our identity all this time. So this is what we're trying to achieve.
Powerful, powerful. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. I would like to see for you to, if it's, is it possible for you to elaborate a little bit more in terms of when you say that our language, like ancient Paleo Hebrew, Canaanite, whatever, Phoenician, whatever they call it, uh, interpret our languages, and I think I will agree. But can you give us some examples to how, or this actually works? Because I mean, somebody would come and say, "Man, we've been using Latin letters for a minute, and it works for us. We don't have to be that spiritual." Oh, but I do agree with you though that languages provide deeper, like a writing system is the language is a career of a people's culture and spirituality, but a writing system of that language is actually what carry the weight of all of this right into it. So could you be like maybe give us one or two examples of what you said?
All right. So just to make it simple, I'm gonna start with an example of using the Latin alphabet. Let's say that you heard the word I'm not going to say what Bantu tribe it is, but let me just say the word. Let's say you heard the word Genda for the first time in your entire life, and you saw it written in Genda. Genda, let's say you never even knew the Latin alphabet, or maybe you didn't even have a dictionary, or nobody was there to tell you via the internet or physically what the word means. You, as a people, if you stop using that word, as the tribe that uses that word, it will disappear forever. Okay? And you'll never be able to interpret and understand what it means, even if it's written in Latin alphabet. Okay? But the system of pictographs, or I'd say Paleo-Hebrew, Paleo-Phoenician, it rescues what's happening by this. I'll give you an example. If you write the word Genda, you'll draw a picture of a leg. Okay. Then you'll draw the picture of a seed, and then you'll draw the picture of a door. Okay. So what would that even mean? The pictures have multiple meanings each, but you have to understand the context. Okay. Now, the context is talking about the leg. What is a leg and what's the connection to a seed and a leg? The representation of a leg is to walk. Okay. It is to ascend, descend, climb. There's different purposes that the leg has. And then the picture of the seed is represents continuity, and this is scriptural. If you look at Abraham, they prophesied that his seed would be as the stars of heaven. So it represents continuity. And then the door, the image of the door represents a pathway or an entrance or an inlet in, out, okay, access. But there's multiple, it depends on the context that you're referring to. So if I'm to draw such a word, I would simply know that genda, in my context of understanding, means to walk and continue in the pathway. To walk and continue in the pathway. So understanding the system of writing and understanding the pictures is the best way you can utilize it to interpret other words in Bantu languages, like that one. And the last example I will give is, which you will see in the dictionary we have made, is the word bana. Bana in most Bantu languages across Africa means children, okay? But if you want to understand how to write it in Paleo-Hebrew, you write the picture of bet, what the Jews call bet, but it is, I'll call it bati for house. And then the other picture will be the seed, okay? So the sound of the sound of the word ba is the picture of a house, okay? And then the sound of the word na is a picture of a seed. So you get the picture of a house and you get the picture of a seed, and it means the seed of the household. Uh, there's multiple meanings that the word, the picture of house has. It means family, it means inside, it means all sorts of things. But you'll understand the different variations depending on the context you're referring to. So this is an example of how the meanings of names can be preserved with pictographics, unlike the Latin alphabet.
I see. That's very interesting. Thank you for giving us examples. Like I think to me, I can definitely see where you're coming from in terms of saying they preserve the language. Yeah, because literally, um, uh, writing systems does remind us. It's kind of like when you write in like a password, right? Of like even on a laptop, when you set up a password, they usually ask you to have a hint word, to make to like, so if you forget, you can look at the hint word and you will know it's talking about this and that. And so I can see exactly, like if if you love mangoes, right, and you grew up in a town I mean, I always talk about mangoes because I love mangoes, by the way, and you grew up in a town that that harvest mango, and you remember like you're far away from home. Every time you see a mango, the only thing that you think about is home. Man, I miss my home. People will be like, man, just by looking at a mango, yeah, it might be a mango, but to you, that mango is what it brings. It's a lot. It tells a story. So in the same way in Bantu language, actually Bantu words tend to do the same. Like they would tell different stories within one word. You hear the names of people, and some people will call Mavita, and you ask them why are you called Mavita, which means war. People would think that you're not supposed to be called Mavita. Why would you name your child Mavita? But it's history preserved. Like the reason why the baby was called Mavita was because the baby was born during the war, which war, and we specifically know, so we can be able to know exactly where we come from, the events that happened that causes us to be here. So I think very powerful Bantu languages like that. But now, since you talked about that, I want to ask you another question. Uh, the preface describes that you put that you have describes Bantu language as a vocalized technical drawings, right? What does that mean in practical terms? Like in terms of how can a spoken language function like a pictographic system?
All right, so basically, when you take a look at when we display the dictionary that we're about to display later on in this video, we're gonna see sets of images that have a lot to do with the Bantu culture in diverse ways. And there's a lot of parables that can even be parables and idioms that can be born by using this pictographic language, just by understanding the meaning of each picture that is used and the sound that is used for each picture. For
Mhm.
example, if I say mama, of course, most people all over the world, even people in the white people, sometimes they call mothers mama. So it shows now the Bantu languages having the word mama. If you're to draw the picture of mama, it is the picture of water, okay? And water is pronounced as ma, me, mi, mo, and mu. So you have the water representing blood, okay? It represents birth, it represents life,
I
okay?
think
And you're,
I like this where you're going, but I don't want to catch.
yeah,
Can we have the screen the screen, the sharing of the screen, brother Gabriel, so that we can actually see what he's talking about? Because
sure,
this is very powerful.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah, sure,
sorry to cut you off.
absolutely,
Hopefully you
absolutely.
can remember the chain of line,
Mm,
chain of thought.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. So, just to make it clear, if you speak diverse language, I'm just using simple short words, but there's so many other words that can be used. So every time we speak as Bantus, we are drawing pictures or we are drawing images of what we are trying to say. And sometimes, now that we are devoid of the pictographic system, as long as you master how to use the Paleo-Hebrew pictographic system, you will be able to visualize images as you speak. And that will be able to make you even more versatile in interpreting what another Bantu person who speaks another dialect is trying to say to you without them telling you what they're actually meaning. You will understand the context of what your brother who speaks a different dialect, you'll understand the context they're referring to better than you did when you just hear the word in Latin alphabet and you're just thinking of Latin spellings. So this is not using Latin spellings. This is using pictographic spelling. So every time you will hear your brother speak, you will begin to picture whatever he is saying. So this is exactly what I mean. So, Brother Gabriel, could you take us down to the slide which shows the different images that represent simple words? The first layer, I think it's on page 5. You can take us
Roger
down
that.
there. Yeah, just so that they can understand. So the gist of the matter is being able to drop. Yeah, right there. Just take it back a little. You just missed the spot right there. Exactly. So these are the words I was already mentioning earlier. We have bana. Okay. Now bana, you can already see. We decided to use a grass thatch hat in representation, but in Paleo Hebrew, it is drawn differently. But the reason why we did that is because we wanted to make the communication of the Bantu languages to be possible in WhatsApp emojis and Facebook emojis and internet emojis. And yes, I communicate like that all the time with my brother and those brothers that have learned to use this language. I write to them using this pictographic system with WhatsApp emojis, and they understand what I'm saying. So there we go. That's the name Bana. That's the word Bana. It's a house and a seed. That's a picture being drawn as I speak. You can go down, Brother Gabe, to another picture. Okay, then leta. We have the word leta, and what we see there for leta is a staff and a basket. The staff and the basket, the staff represents to bring. If you look at the Most High, when he talks about the sheep going astray, he brings the sheep with the rod. You bring the sheep closer to you with the rod. So the rod has many purposes. The rod means to teach, to tame, to have authority, to bind, and to bring. So, in other words, the context of leta this time is in reference to bringing. as in the staff bringing something. And then we have a basket, the basket which represents, and we're going to see all the representations as we go along with the dictionary. The basket is in representation of contain, okay? It's containing something. It is to interweave something. So basically, you're bringing something to the basket, and that's exactly what leta means. Leta means in the Bantu dialect I'm speaking, it means to bring something to your custody or to bring something into the basket. So we have another word there. I want that one, the seka word. Yes. So the word seka, I'm not going to say what it means just now. I'm going to use the pictographs to say what it means. So we can see a toothy smile over there, but it's teeth that are showing on the emoji. The images in Paleo-Hebrew are the images of teeth, teeth being put on top. And then we have the open palm. So the open palm represents to open, okay? And the teeth represents to press, to grind. It means to be sharp, okay? So seka basically means to have a sharp opening of the mouth, uh, basically to release and open your mouth in laughter. So it's just, you can clearly see that the image is already talking about that seka means to laugh, but the image, the representation is what most people can understand as they understand the pictograph. I think the last one, let's just go down to the last example, and then I'll let Brother Batakane go to, so we have, um, go down to the, okay, let's use, okay, yeah. So we have the word vuga, okay? Vuga, I'm not going to say what vuga means, but let's use the pictograph. That picture over there is the picture of a nail, and then or a peg basically, and then that is a picture of a leg, right? So there's different ways people say it. Some people say wuga or vuga, but vuga would basically mean to uh, it basically means to walk and connect, okay, or to move. It's called movement and connection, okay. So sometimes people, basically swimming, you are swimming at the same time. You need to use the use of legs, and you need to use the use of connection, okay. So
Are you guys there?
I am. It seems like
He's
Brother Solomon may have.
he's disconnected. Maybe network issues. Yeah,
All
interesting.
right. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe to elaborate on the point that he was making, I
Yes.
guess my screen can still be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, as you can see, it said a picture speaks more than 1,000 words, right? Or a picture is worth 1,000 words. Literally, pictures do that. And if you have a system of language that can, express meaning using pictures, uh, I'll backtrack. Aside the obvious,
Oh man.
comes back to Bantu speaking peoples. Well, there used to be a story told. This is really European folklore. But everyone knows the story about Cinderella and the golden slipper. I'll use that for maybe a younger audience to paint a picture. Again, Cinderella had sisters. They went to this ball. It was midnight. She left a slipper. The prince started searching for her, finding out who that girl was that he danced with. You know, it was special, it was different. He went around the entire London trying to fit everybody's foot into this glass slipper. And the person whom it fits best should be Cinderella. So, in the case of language, if we look at the language being the person, okay, the identity of a people, let me say, it's the persona, it's the historicity of a people. If that's supposed to be Cinderella, the language, right, then the slipper would be, in this case, a writing system. If anyone claims that a writing system belongs to them, then it has to fit the linguistic, you know, uh, context, like that glass slipper. And what we're doing here is we're fitting the glass slipper of this language system into a people who even forgot that it belongs to them, and it still fits. So either we made it up, but it would be so difficult for us to make something up that fits. And we don't even speak all these languages, but somehow it works out meaning. So I just want to pull that out. Yes. And as we proceed, maybe it would be nice to go a little bit backtrack a little before all this. Because I think the point about the question that you asked in regards the images that help illustrate meaning, this is what they look like. So as I go back to the beginning of this dictionary, because this is a dictionary, I'll have you maybe make us a secondary inquiry while I wait to define just what this is about in detail.
Thank you so much, Brother Gabriel, for explaining that. And I think Brother Solomon is here back with us. I hope we can continue as well after. But I'm curious. That's a very interesting pictograms that you guys are using, and I think interesting. So I would probably would like to just scroll down into like just maybe explore more, not necessarily explain, but just just show us what the letters look. But even before you do that, just from looking at the vowels, um, I think I have a question that I think even other audiences might have. The audiences might have is because I remember Brother Solomon mentioning using the emojis to as samples of the writing system, and he talked about computer phones, social media. People use them on a daily basis, and I can see that being yeah, definitely a motivation for that. Um, I was just curious: is this are you guys when you work on this? Are you using? Because I haven't seen any reference of the like maybe Paleo like ancient Hebrew on the side to side. So I'm assuming are you guys using this as the actual replacement of what the Paleo Hebrew was supposed to be, or because I remember brothers someone mentioning that this is explains the day to day experience of the modern people, I guess, with our people currently, or even if it goes back to ancient times, you have to explain that. But the question really is this language supposed to like is this supposed are we when if at all I bought a book and I want to write, right. I want to write in this language to people, right. I want to as I publish a book in my language, in what we describe as our language system. Should we use how can somebody use this on a daily basis, or is this a sample, and then you still asking people to use ancient, like the actual ancient Hebrew script that are already designed? Just I'm trying to find a connection between the two. Brother Solomon can answer this, or Brother Gabriel, whoever is able to do that. But able.
All right, so maybe if I should give an answer, um, one has to be mindful of the fact that bringing back something to an audience that's so far removed from it requires uh, tactic. If you want people to gravitate towards something, you might just want to use a hook. Social media is great at passing on information, and I think you can learn something from what these billionaires recycle. They get the past and they introduce it to a future oriented audience. I watched an animation called the Emoji movie. I don't know what year it came out, but it was really popular because of what was elaborated behind what emojis can actually do in terms of communication, right? If you haven't watched the Emoji movie, lol. But emojis are a powerful tool of communication, and nobody asks themselves, where did this come from? Is it new? Is it old? Is it recent? But no, it's completely ancient, extremely ancient, just addressing a modern audience because everyone has a handheld device. Artistry now, everybody's hand has been trained in the Latin alphabet or the Chinese alphabet. Everyone might think it's tough to start learning a new language and draw these pictures. So the reason why we brought it in that facet is it's quick to learn then. A person can go to their phone and then use this system now, right now. While we have references to what those letters go back to in the Hebrew, the interesting part is a lot of them look just like that. They look just the way they do right there. Why? Because again, communication for humanity has always been better expressed with images. That's why artists are famous. So we just got what people do already, and we are trying to tell them this is where this what you think is new is coming from. It's much older than you think, and it's not just old, it's actually yours and it's gold.
Yeah, thank you for that. I guess in that same saying that, I think, I guess we probably have to do like like a comparison, like maybe have side by side with this, with like what we call because brother someone say that this is inspired from the ancient Paleo Hebrew, and the reason why I was asking the, yes, I understand the, or even Paleo Hebrew and ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and all of these other languages were all just emojis. I mean, I agree with you on the fact that when you look at the ancient Hebrew, when they talk about a man or whatever or a house, they did not use like Roman letters. Of course, they used emojis to define a house, to define all of that. I guess the question that I was really asking was, is this the final product of this? Like in terms, just because, were you gonna do more like artistic, layout of each letter, and
All right.
just, like, so it looks more like, or are you gonna just use the actual Paleo Hebrew on side by side with these, so that which, if people want to use that, they can write with that. If they want to use a computer, something quick on the computer, they can use this. Because I'm talking about, yes, people use, we are in a modern, in a technological world, right, where everything is computer, but then we still are people that function as an, the Bible talk calling us set apart. We still are people that function outside of the computer, that we, most of us, actually trying to seek to function outside of the system, so that, and that includes sometimes being outside the computer. So how can people start writing, like, how, like, people can, you can use a foreign language to to communicate a message. Do you have
Mhm.
that? Like, do you think this is it, what people need to use? This is it, or do you think people are you gonna use this side by side with the ancient one,
All
or are you
right.
using that language to write? Are you using this one to replace that, like as being an emoji
All
for?
right. All right. Very good question.
I mean,
Okay.
both of
So no, like you made the distinction. You kind of made the distinction while you speak. There is no way that if you have to write something down on paper, we're going to have to use digital artwork. This is entirely for a digital based, function, because you will not take your pen and write, anything other than the alphabets that are on there's so many downloadable ones, Arabic, Chinese, and what on a phone. So you're not going to take the images of Paleo-Hebrew if it's not something that you can download and use it. But we have those letters that these letters go back to, which if somebody needed to, they can learn the art form, just the same way that we learn to write with any other writing system. So yes, when we write something down on paper, when we teach our children how to write with this, it's not going to go by the emoji symbols, which you wouldn't even be able to draw easily by hand. But you would we have the symbols for what was written, which is good, and we will do a display of them, I guess, like you mentioned, in comparison with what the digital equivalents are, so people can tell this digital framework is from this image and why it comes about like that. But maybe not today, maybe in a future presentation.
Okay, that's good. Yes, because at the end of the day, I think people will be able to use, if it's really the same language. People want to be able to know that there's another. Actually, I would even add to say, I think this is just from what I hear you say, this is just a beginning of something that you're working something greater. But also, I think you shouldn't underestimate the work that can be done. I think yes, it's right now computer based, but I think who says we can't force our writing system into the system? Who says we can create our own system that uses what we call ancient Hebrew to tell our story? Because that's lacking right now. That's lacking. And as I was speaking here, I'm sure there's somebody that already has the thought. How am I gonna? Because there's a question of people trying to go back to the ancient path, trying to write in the ancient language. And I've seen people all over social media trying to write, to send a message in ancient Hebrew, to try to put on their profile, the pictograms of ancient Hebrew, to be able to like talk about the name of the Most High, or all of this other stuff. And so I definitely think there's a need, there's people there's a craving, right, of wanting to go back to that ancient path, to go back to that ancient writing system. And so I definitely think somebody is going to will develop a system that can support an actual language system, like whether it's ancient Hebrew system. And so I would encourage that you probably have that on the side with this, so that people can see where it's coming from. They don't just see emojis, and they can. I mean, all of them are emojis. Even the ancient Paleo-Hebrew is emojis too. But again, it's what people are already familiar with. So that it looks like, okay, this is what you could use an alternative for emojis, but this is what it looks like in real life and stuff like that. And then this is what it means, like you have them there. And so I don't know if you have a comment to that before I ask my another question.
Um,
You
uh,
know,
uh,
the-
maybe what I can say. Sorry about that, guys. I fell out. What I can say about that is, the writing system on paper is there and it's available, and I have I'll show you guys the display of it before the end of this session, because of course it's a system which I use myself. I've trained my wife how to write like this. I have trained my child how to write like this, so it is possible, and I'll show you guys how it is. Yeah, so I'll show you guys before the end of the session.
Powerful. Yeah, thank you so much. We're definitely looking forward to see that, and be able to maybe even navigate into it. But so since you say, brother Solomon and brother Gabriel, you guys said that this language is inspired from ancient Paleo Hebrew, right? And I'm curious. We know that what we've been told from what we've been provided is that ancient Paleo Hebrew has 22 letters, right? And what I noticed is some Bantu languages have more, some have less than 22. How do you navigate around that? Like, is it, because some people will say, "Oh, Bantu language are now ancient Hebrew because they use more letters." They are not 22 letters, so they are not paleo. They don't support the Paleo Hebrew concept. And I've had people say this, and people who trying to disqualify, I guess, Bantu languages from being ancient Hebrew. Because one thing that you notice is in the awakening is that there are people who are awakening, but then they want to preserve Jewish stuff to identify. So they are claiming we are Israelites, but then they are measuring our identity based on Jewish lenses, like what the Jewish have already designed, and so that if it doesn't look like that, if it doesn't support it doesn't agree with that particular narrative, then it's not we're supposed to leave that behind, leave our languages behind, and follow Judaism or follow Jewish people. And so I'm curious, what can you say to that question?
Get the book Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar, and discover more about Bantu people's culture, languages, spirituality, and migration history as evidence to prove without a shadow of a doubt that Bantu people are the original biblical Israelites. Learn about the original timekeeping of the ancient calendar of Sabbaths, new moons, and feast days, as these factors unveil the true location of the Promised Land. Find the book on Amazon and on YouBuy for people in Africa. Email.
While Brother Solomon gets back, I like to reference the scriptures always. I mean, by this point in time, everyone who knows the Israelites of the Bible are black, they know the scriptures Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, which Revelation 2:9 says, I know your poverty and your affliction, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of those who call themselves Jews and are not. They are the synagogue of Satan. They do lie. So, referencing those scriptures, we need to realize that if we reference our truth of being the people against the lie that the Bible is condemning in the New Testament, then something is wrong with that whole theology. If the Jewish people are the standard of anything that is biblical, then I guess that is exactly what the book of Revelation chapter 12 verses 10 said about how the great dragon would deceive the entire world. And if it were possible, he'd even deceive the elect. That's what's happening here. How are we going to take their stuff and think they are the standard? But this is what the scripture says about our languages and why we would have to go back to our own roots, because it's Zephaniah chapter 3 verses 9. It says, for then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. So if this is something that's supposed to happen in the future, that the Most High returns to his people a pure tongue, it means that no one can be saying that Jews, who aren't even the people to begin with, could possibly be speaking the pure tongue. But now to bring it back to the simplicity of the question that you asked, that how can we then justify the Bantu languages fitting into this 22-letter thing? And well, this is what I have to say. Bantu languages are a very, very broad language group, which if you look at these languages as individual dialects, it's very, very deceiving, because you need to look at it like a puzzle that comes together. And this is the example that I can give. How is it that in English, you've got so many words and so many editions of dictionaries from 26 letters, but the only reason why the language English seems to be like one unit is there's a referenceable dictionary. And this is the work that we're doing as Habari Yakobo. It's to showcase that viewing Bantu languages as separate groups makes it hard to realize that maybe there's synonyms of one word. Maybe there's a root word that connects all these, diverse words together. Where instead of thinking, oh, there's so many letters, you think, no, there's diverse pronunciations of a given letter. Whereas opposed to thinking, oh, there's so many words, these people couldn't be the same. You begin to think, no, it's just a derivative of the same word, and that's what's lacking. The infrastructure that shows people that it's the same. So I don't know if that really does justice to what I'm trying to say here, but it's what's happening with the letters. We already mentioned how diverse words can be derived from one image. You see this picture, and in my language, there's so many different ways to say it, Like when you look at the image of water, you would say mazi in one language, you would say amai in another language. But then those syllables and consonants that you use multiply or subtract depending on how you're describing the image. But it doesn't take anything away from the power of imagery to express meaning. That's how I would explain that.
Thank you so much, Brother Gabriel. I think definitely that's, yeah, one word could mean different things. One letter could as well be read different as well. Because you actually, honestly speaking, the English language does do that. French actually does that as well. And with some letters, where they're read as C, and sometimes in some other occasions, the C can also be read as a K. And so it's a very interesting observation. Brother Solomon, are you with us? Do you have a comment on that question, or should we proceed? Or are you do you still have a connection problem?
We can proceed. We
Okay.
can proceed. I agree with everything.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that's great. Okay, that's interesting. Now that we're talking about these particular languages, I'm curious just to ask as well. This, I mean, writing systems really. I'm also curious actually to provide us all to see what else you guys have, and maybe just explain one or two more letters, and like in emphasizing the points that you both have made.
Brother Gabriel, as you're continuing to that pictographic dictionary, just take note that I have just shared with you some images of book writing that has been done with this system, which is an emoji, but it's just form of writing. Yeah, just
Okay,
in
can we
case
see
that you
that?
get to the point of, yeah, the point
Oh,
of
that's what we
displaying
can
it.
see. Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Brother Gabriel, are you bringing that? I think you're both muted. Are you bringing that in, or are we? Or is brother? Are you guys just talking about something else here?
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was on mute.
Yeah,
My
you both
response
muted.
was yes, I can see those images. And yes, I'm going to add them to the slideshow. They are beautiful. Just to display to the audience that is something that you can actually learn and sketch. It's so beautiful when you think about what the power of this is. It's prophetic in my view, it's biblical. Okay. So in the meantime, Brother Solomon, would you like to break down one of the images already on display? Let me turn a page and then you could be running them through what
Could
each
you
of
zoom
those.
in? Could you zoom in? Yeah.
Is this good
Zoom in
enough?
make it more significant. Okay. All right. So this is the alphabet, and when you look at the alphabet, every image has a specific meaning. Uh, Brother Batikani, I hope you can see the images clearly. Does he need to zoom in more? I hope the images are clear.
Yeah, yeah,
Are they
they're
clear?
very clear. They're very clear. Thank you.
Okay. So the first image over there is the ox head. The image of the ox head is pronounced a, e, I, o, u. That is in the vowel sense. And then you have the aleph. That is the name of the letter, but the Jews call it aleph, and we call it ulefu. The meaning of that letter is origin, strength, unity, leadership, first, crown, and alpha. Now there's 22 images of letters on this slide, and we're not gonna go through all of them for time's sake. But for easiness sake, we just want to show how to use this dictionary to interpret any word, or particularly words that can come up to your mind. So, Brother Gabe, I think you can take us to at least the first word that is on the lower pages, and then we see how each letter for that word particularly, how it can be interpreted with this dictionary. So unlike the English dictionary, you go to the word, it tells you the meaning in Latin alphabet. But here, this dictionary, you have to find out the meaning of a word through the images and their multiple representations. So for example, we have the word Abantu. Abantu is a word which we all understand on this continent. Abantu is going to be written with the image of an ox's head. It is going to be written with a household picture. It's going to be using the picture of a seed and then the picture of two cross sticks or staves. Okay. So we need to understand what each of those letters mean or represent. So, brother, you can take me up to the slide of the first letter which is used for Abantu. You have the ox's head. So the ox's head over there, what it represents, there's multiple representations and meanings of the ox's head, but they're all in line of the context. So the ox's head we already read earlier. The representations it has is, it talks about unity, it talks about leadership, it talks about being crowned first, alpha, and the origin, okay? Also refers to as strength. So when you go down to the word Abantu, you're going to find out that the selected meaning for the word Abantu, the first meaning is unity, okay? Then we have family, and then we have offspring, and then covenant. So what is the image of the household representing? It's representing family in this case. There's multiple representations for the house. There is household, there is the body or the temple, but in this case we have used the unity of the family, okay? And then now the next up, okay, if you can see that word for bati, the letter bati, because you have Abba. So the picture you have is an ox's head and then the house. Then we go to Ntu, then two is a seed and then the staves. So Nana is the first letter there. You have seed, and seed represents, zoom into those definitions, Gabe, so the people can see them. So the seed represents a child. It represents continuity. It represents hair, sun. It represents moving forward and offspring. Okay. Plant and root. It also represents the fruit. So in this case, the selection for the word Abantu would be offspring. Okay. So let's go to the word. Let's go back to the word of Abantu and see how to use it. So that the people. So the last letter, of course, is the staves, and we'll understand what the staff means. Let's go to the staff first before we go there. And it is pronounced ta, te, tito, tu. So the vowel meaning is two. So how do you write the two and know that it is the vowel of you? We specifically used 5 apostrophes to represent the vowels, okay? The first apostrophe represents the first vowel, and then the second apostrophe represents the second vowel, which would be, if you say ta, that is one apostrophe. If you say te, that's the second apostrophe. But now we have 5 apostrophe to represent the last vowel, which is tu. So that is Bantu in a nutshell. Abantu. Now, Gabe, I want us to go to the core definition of Abantu, what it would mean according to the pictographics. Let's go down to the meaning. If you scroll down, okay, you can zoom in. So the meaning is unity, family, offspring, and covenant. That is a core definition. The stabs represent covenant, and the stabs are pronounced two in this case. So the definition would basically be the united family, their offspring, and their mark. Okay, and we have the first people, their descendants, and their covenant. So that's the meaning of the word Bantu in a nutshell. But it's amazing how through these variations of explaining what each image means, you come up with a meaning which connects directly to what people are referring to in the Bantu language. And there's so many other words along this page which we'll see that are of the same sense. So before I proceed, I think I want to hear a comment from there.
That's a very, very good question. Good point you raised. I think even for the word Abantu, which is a very probably one of the most common words that people are familiar with, uh, I can see the weight. It's when you break it down like that, I can see the weight of the actual word. Abantu. It makes unity, family, offspring, covenant. That's all very actually centered around the Bantu culture. It's very Bantu culture is very united. It's very family oriented, which emphasize children. Like children are the most important part of that of this family of this whatever you call it, kingdom, a tribe, whatever. And then they're very covenantal people, so they are very structured to what did our ancestors say? How trying to like focus on a way that has worked in the past to preserve it even in the modern time, and that includes like we talk about naming and all the other stuff that people do on a daily basis. Bantu people do on a daily basis. Now, I know you. I saw you use some vowels as you went. I'm curious because we I did some Hebrew study back in the day when I used to think that modern Hebrew was was our language, and then I went to Paleo-Hebrew as well. I did some studying, but what I noticed was that they both claim that Paleo-Hebrew didn't have any vowels. And then some people will argue with you that Bantu languages are not that we this language were given to us. We used to speak Paleo Hebrew, but we forgot. And Paleo Hebrew did not have any writings, any vowels in their alphabet. That's why probably they were only 22 and not 26 or more. And so what would you say to that? Is that why you came up with the apostrophes, or is that something you came up with yourself, or do you think Paleo Hebrew did have alternative vowels?
I'm going to ask to answer that question because I kind of commented on the fact that the scriptures show the Most High will return unto us a pure language. Remember that snippet in one of the pages of our dictionary. We hope we'll leave a downloadable PDF of some of this stuff for the audience. But in there it says that this is a technical drawing of an ancient language that points out meaning a certain way. Really, when you think about emojis and how you use them today, where do you add the punctuation? Where are the commas? Where are the apostrophes? Do you need them in order to express meaning? Do you? No, right? Because it's contextual. You begin to understand based on where that picture is placed, how to say it. Now, being removed so far from a united form of speech, every language has a way that we say particular words. We may omit syllables or add some. Sometimes we may add vowels or say a different vowel, amai, amayu type of situation. So the apostrophes is just a placeholder, a visual representation. And now this is what most people don't know. People don't know that even in modern Hebrew, they use placements for vowels to communicate context. We call these nikudim. At least that's what they call them in Yiddish. They say nikudim because what that means is aids to assist you in reading what the pictures have instead of vowels. That's, I guess, where the name Nicodemus comes from in the New Testament, because it's a Greek derivative of the word Nikud, you know. But the point is, this is not something that we made up. It's simply showing an audience that might not know how the context of vowels are understood to a native speaker or to a person who doesn't know another language in Bantu, how to read those words.
Yeah, wow. Okay, interesting. And I think that I think when you look at the Bantu languages, the linguistic structures of Bantu words, they can use both vowels or not. Because when you look at the when you're looking at the root words of things like the word sema, for instance, in Kikongo, or sema in Swahili, both they means two different things, but those are the same words. And but then those two things, it's not that they're different; they are also connected. So when you think the word sema in Kikongo, which means to create, right? And then when you think the word sema in Swahili, which means to speak, the Bible literally says that the Most High spoke words into existence, and things were created. And so you can see the connection, like within these languages, and even the root word of this, both of this word, even though they mean two different things, they're somehow interconnected. Is the word sm. So if you remove the vowels with the sm sema, you are talking about it's holding the weight of the actual meaning within the consonant themselves. So I can see. So to people that claim the Bantu people did not use consonant, because modern Hebrew supposedly, or Hebrew supposed to only use consonant, I don't think that's true. But also to Brother Gabriel's point, I think vowels were always added because they express when you have to write things down, when you have to when you have, I think we have to really, I think maybe you guys have to explain what is a value, what is a pictogram, because it doesn't necessarily need to have, like brother Solomon already explained, in terms of you see one letter and you think about all these other things. So it doesn't have to have a vowel to it or another letter, just but the house symbolizes what, family or whatever, or unity, or so that's, I think that's what those pictograms, because the ancient Hebrew was a pictogrammatic uh, uh, pictographic way of writing. Ancient Canaanite, which I kind of believe it, they're one and the same. Also, modern, even when you look at the Ethiopian language still kind of use pictograms a lot. When you look at the ancient hieroglyphs, the ancient Egyptian writing system still used emojis and pictograms. So that's a very good point, Brother Gabriel. Brother Solomon, you can continue if you want.
Okay. So just to make this clear, there's a lot of people that are in this awakening that really love to junk the importance of the languages of our people in the mother continent, particularly the people of Israelite descent. And this is what I have to say. If we all claim to be Israelites and descendants of Israel, we need to ask ourselves how we ended up speaking these languages. If we happen to be the lost tribes, or if we happen to call ourselves Israelite, and then we find people who are speaking a language they claim to be Hebrew, okay? And we start copying them in the form in which they speak the language, I'd say it's a shame, because we haven't even gone through the step of identifying why they caned us as slaves to get rid of our names, get rid of our languages, get rid of our writing systems, whatever writing system that we were using, and claim that we never had any. So it's a very important point to take note of. A lot of people could say, yeah, he's going to return a pure language and all that. Yes, he will return a pure language, but how? Because a lot of people are like, the Most High is going to return. We just need to wait for him. But the Most High says, occupy till I come. Are you going to let calamity to befall you as you're waiting for the Most High to come back? You do what you can, because the Most High gifted the disciples to have the ability of speaking in tongues. And this was something that happened at a time when our people already lost their pure language. The Israelites that came from Egypt were not speaking a pure Hebrew. The Israelites that were in Egypt were not speaking a pure Hebrew. And even the Israelites that were there in the times of the Messiah were not speaking a pure Hebrew. So if all those were not speaking a pure Hebrew, they could have ignored the dialects that they were all speaking and said, oh, let's just junk them. But the Holy Spirit, or what they call the Spirit of the Most High, recognizes the importance of these languages. And that is why when I say Bana and when I say Bantu, thousands of our people can understand what that means. And that is what happened on the Feast of Pentecost. So all we're trying to do is to bring ourselves to a better understanding of who we are and how we're connected to each other, and less division.
Interesting.
Okay, so
Mhm.
yeah,
Just quickly to that comment that
yeah,
you just raised, I think
yeah,
people also have to be aware of the fact that yes, when you go to Google, they will tell you ancient Hebrew died, and it was only left as a writing system. Um, but the point of the matter is that they don't want to tell you that Bantu languages, ancient Hebrew never died. As a spoken language, it was alive and is still alive through our dialects, because we are the very people that went to Egypt. We are the very people that went to the Cushitic oppression, which you call really uh, uh, we were the one that were conquered by Assyrians and all that stuff, and we had to adopt different words. Even in our Bantu language, you find dialects of all of these languages within them. You find ancient Egyptian writings within our Bantu language or expressions. You find all of these within our languages. So we might have forgotten the writing system, but there's no way we did forget the spoken language. And unless you can give me a source where we borrowed this language as being the original Israelites, show me some source where we actually borrowed Luganda, where we borrowed Kikongo. Show me a source where we borrowed Zulu for some alien people. Then we might try to subscribe to modern Hebrew as being the language. Brother Solomon, you can continue.
all right, awesome. So I think we can get straight to understanding other words. This is a language. This is the Luganda edition of the pictographic. I think to make it easier, I think we should take them through the beginning so that they understand the full understanding of how to use this dictionary, than to go straight to the interpretations, because it's a little bit of a drag when somebody doesn't understand how to use the instrument that you are showing them. So I just want so you can zoom into the words because they're quite faint. I want to see them much better. So it says the Bantu Pictographic Root Dictionary, the original lexicon. Uh, so okay, that's a Bantu dictionary, pictographic root. You can go down, past that page, go lower. It's a slow descent. Keep going. It's a slow descent. I don't know why. Keep going down. Okay, we already read that one. Let's go down. Okay, Brother Gabe, you can read it. You're muted. You can unmute, please.
Okay, I guess I'm being heard now.
Yep.
All right. It says Habari Yakobo Linguistic Institute, cultural enrichment. So yeah, it says for immediate release. So expect some copies soon, downloadable. The Bantu Pictographic Root Dictionary, the original lexicon unveiled. Habari Yakobo is thrilled to present the Bantu Pictographic Root Dictionary, Luganda Functional Logic Lexicon. This innovative work delves into the linguistic ties between Bantu languages and their true historical origins, providing valuable insight for scholars, educators, and enthusiasts of African languages. That's you guys. Key features: exploration of connections, as opposed to the popular belief that Yiddish spoken by the Khazarian descended population which has forcibly occupied present-day Palestine. This dictionary insists on proving that Proto-Bantu is the original Hebrew, serving as a cultural resource for comprehending the intricate linguistic history that unites all Bantu-speaking communities and their languages. Cultural richness. The lexicon emphasizes that Bantu is indeed amongst, if not the richest languages on the planet. Functional logic approach. By utilizing this method, the lexicon showcases the practical aspects of language interactions while respecting their cultural significance. So, like Brother Batakane already said, people have attempted to write down their own linguistic interpretations of individual dialects. So this work is not supposed to throw shade on those works, but it's supposed to show the unity between the larger family groups, okay, that we call Kibantu, while not sacrificing their individual value. It says it has a user-friendly design. So the publication we'll do our best to make sure that the formatting is extremely beautiful, and with scholarly annotations, we'll make sure that we have quotations from authors that you know, and the design that ensures accessibility for all levels of expertise. So we want to make it as simple as possible for you all to understand. Habari Yakobo warmly invites the community to explore this enriching resource and deepen their understanding of the incredibly rich language that is Bantu. Okay.
Yeah, you can continue downwards. It's unfortunate he just went out.
I think
So,
we get it. Yeah.
all right. So, what we need to understand is the purpose of everything that we're trying to do is to use building blocks that can unite everybody that has been scattered from everywhere. I think let me share the screen myself. Let me share my screen. Go to. Oh, Brother Gabe, you're back. Okay. Go ahead and share the
Okay.
screen again from where you stopped.
Okay. So I hope you heard me finish the first page.
Yes, we did
Okay.
both, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So Bantu Pictographic Root Dictionary, the Luganda Functional Logic Lexicon, visualized Emojis edition. Let's see the preface. The restoration of the original father tongue. Yeah, this doesn't throw shade on mothers, but we are dealing with roots, so big ups, fathers. Habari Yakobo Linguistic Institute presents the Bantu Pictographic Root Dictionary. This work serves as a formal bridge between Bantu languages and its ancient roots. By applying a functional logic linguistic model, we prove that Bantu languages are vocalized technical drawings, a sophisticated system of pictographic and functional descriptions. I guess you guys saw that already. Okay, linguistic key. The MOG system. To navigate this dictionary, one must understand the Emojis, manual graphics symbols, which reveals the glossary of meaning behind every symbol. So that brings us here. That brings behind every syllable. Yes, that brings us here to the syllables.
Oh, Brother
So
Gabe, the screen stopped sharing. Could you share it again? So they
yeah,
can see the syllables.
okay, go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and do that. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
I can see the screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Screen. All right, so here we are. These are the vowel indicators visualized. We have already kind of broken this down, so I won't take a lot of your time explaining. Each of these apostrophes represents a vowel sound. The more apostrophes you have, the more vowels. There's 5 vowels, so there's 5 apostrophes. The A vowel sound represented by 1 apostrophe, like in the word bana, where you have the letter for the sound B and the letter for the sound A. And now when you have that and that together, the ba, na, you get bana. Yeah, you can also now write banana. I'm kidding. These are Bantu languages. So yeah, also vowel, which in this case we've used the vowel A to show the sound for va, which is the letter that you see here, and then the nane with 4, which creates the word wano, rather, not vowel, wano, wa and no. And then now we have the vowel sound E. You can see there's 2 of them. We will be leaving some of these images as downloadable resources because you've gone through them. But as you can see, the increment in vowels requires an increment in apostrophes until you get all the way down to 5 vowels. So I hope that makes sense. And that's how we get the vowels in the dictionary. That will also be there in any resources that you might purchase in the future.
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Yes.
that's wonderful, and I want to just like close soon so that we can come back with more details explanation of each of these. Even more, I will encourage even bringing up as well like what we call the ancient Hebrew pictograms and have them side by side with this, just to be able to so people can understand where we're coming from. But we were talking about the vowels, and I think now that we are in the section of vowels again, like I think about one question that I ask is there's this movement, right? This world Hebrew Israelite movement that is emphasizing, and that those are people really, but they're emphasizing that you know that there's no vowels in the Hebrew, and so they are coming up with a whole other language that just use everywhere, like is when they quote about you talk about how you how we say Messiah or the Messiah, they will say Yashaya. And the Messiah they call him Ahaya. Like there's only the only vowel they use they're trying to they're literally coming up with their own language claiming actually it's not the Hebrews that are coming up with this. There's actually European Jewish people who came up with this thing where they're claiming that these people used to speak like this before. So they are literally introducing a completely new language and claiming the Bantu is not that. And so the language just uses the vowel A in every phrase. Like when they talk about ahaya, yes, ahaya, whatever. I don't know if you came across this word, these terms, or yasha, or like literally they don't use any other vowel at all. They're very strict about that. And to me, I just find it to be a completely new language. Yes, the writing system may have can be used in Bantu languages, but should we consider this now as the language, or how do we define which is which in terms of those two?
Brother Solomon, you want to go in for that question, or should I?
You can go in for that question as I'm preparing something.
All right, no problem. So as we work on ways to simplify some of the content in this dictionary, when resources are shared, people will quickly realize that there's a letter at the beginning of Hebrew, which is the Alephu. The Jews call this letter Aleph, which is why you get the vowel sound for right? Because in any of the words that they say in Yiddish, where you have that pronunciation for you have the letter Aleph at the beginning. Okay. Now, just a comment on the people who think that's the only vowel sound that appears in, I guess, Hebrew or other Semitic languages. Even that people who call themselves Jews today know that that letter can take on differences in what vowel sound it produces. And I'll give a quick example. There are people who say, no, that the name of God wasn't Elohim, it was Allahayim. No, and then the Muslims say Allah. But then the letter where you're getting those two different, I mean, I shouldn't even be saying these names, but fair use. The scriptures say that we shouldn't even have these names in our mouth. But I just want to make a point here. How is it that you're getting these two different sounds from one letter and the argument is revolving around that one pronunciation for a letter? Because two people are using two different syllable pronunciations for a letter. And the truth is simpler than the argument. The truth is that letter can take on all those syllables, all 5 of them, where you have a, e, o, u. And we as Bantus, we know that, because at one point you could express yourself saying or and all these tones don't have to change letters. No one is arguing about what you need to say to express yourself there. But because, number one, we lost our identity, we lost our culture, and we're very passionate, there will be individuals who say, no, this is how that word is said, as opposed to, no, this is how the word is said. And this is why we're making this work accessible, because it's supposed to bridge the gap and then stop having people argue like we're at the Tower of Babel and be more like the apostles in the upper room in Acts chapter 2 who said, no, actually, we recognize that word in our languages in which we were born. We understand the works of the Almighty now. No arguments. So that's where the fight is coming from. People arguing about a bunch of vowels is really just, it's not the spirit of the Most High, it's the wisdom of men. That's all I can say.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that, brother Gabriel. We're just gonna draw conclusions. Really, I don't know if brother Solomon, if you had anything to add to just any word to say, or anything to share before we close, brother Gabriel as well, so that we can just close here. But before you guys speak, I would like to say that this session as we just started, speaking to the viewers, as we just started, this is not something that we do once. We're gonna potentially do more sessions of just breaking down these words, these pictograms one by one, and following through with like what does this word say, what does the scripture say, why did the people, brother Gabriel and brother Solomon, select these two particular, why did they select whichever vowel, whichever emoji they selected? And then on top of that, just wanted to say that, brother, I don't know if those you are watching, brother Gabriel and brother Solomon are actually brothers. So you almost think that they're twins and everything, but they are, if you see in the image, they look a lot alike. And that's just out of the topic, outside the topic. But they're working on this together, and they want to be able to continue sharing more of this, what they discover, what they're finding or discovering, or bringing to us on a daily, on occasionally. So we will see them again, but I want to hear what they have to say just as we come to the conclusions of these sessions. You're welcome, guys.
Okay. First of all, I gotta say that I thank the Most High for opening all our eyes for the benefit of His kingdom in our diverse walks of awakening. I mean, there's a lot that we have to learn from each other, and there's a lot that the Most High can reveal to each and every one of us. But one thing that I really, really pray to the Most High that we keep is unity in everything that we are doing. We keep unity and understanding and striving to understand each other. Let's not discard anything that a brother brings up. We just need to test everything with the scriptures and with the Spirit of the Most High. The other thing that I have to say is that we will also have a chance and would love to share a chance of how understanding this system of writing helps to unlock further and deeper understanding about the land and the land of the Most High and where it is and where the children of the Most High were given. There's a lot of things that our people don't do in research. They do not pay attention to researching the meanings of words according to districts across Africa within sub-Saharan Africa and what those words even mean, and the meanings of the tribes and the names of the tribes uh, of people. Because the more understanding you get to understand the meanings of what each tribe is called, or meanings of territories, you begin to stretch closer and closer to the understanding of your origin and what the Most High's word is trying to say. And you will build more in wisdom and in understanding in so many aspects. So I'm looking forward to sharing more, and Brother Gabriel as well. We are both looking forward to share with you guys as much as we can from every aspect of awakening that the Most High has awakened us in. Both understanding this pictographic system geographically, understanding the pictographic system even in things to do with history, okay, culture, everything. It's going to be a very, very good assistance. So take heart, brothers, and you'll understand and you'll come to understanding with time. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you, brother Solomon. Let's jump on to brother Gabriel. Your last words, so we can draw conclusions.
All right, so I have to remind you, Brother Solomon, you made a promise, and I'm going to hold you up to that. You said that you'd have us share those images at the end, and maybe after what I say, you should do it. Anyway, my closing words are, I remember something that Marcus Garvey said about, he says, get organized and compel them to take you seriously. I guess I haven't done it verbatim, but this is the point. Even the scriptures talk about that, getting ourselves united as a people, and it starts with such interesting steps as these, not assuming that the Most High, without our willingness, is going to pour His Spirit upon us in the last days, like Joel chapter 2 says. We have to have that initiative in heart. And when we hear the call, we shouldn't assume that it's going to be somebody else's duty, that some scholar is going to come from some place and help you break down what you're supposed to say when you're supposed to say it. The Spirit of the Most High is at work in you when you decide to move when He calls you. So this is what this is about. And if anyone out there feels like this has been a space lacking in research, then now you're inspired. It's not my work. It's not Brother Solomon's work. It's our work. So come on and help us, you know, just, yeah, look at this thing as your work too. It's not ours, it's ours as a group, as Bantus. Yes, I guess that's what I have to say.
Okay. So uh the first alphabet that you can see over there, um by the way, I hadn't mentioned it in the video, but basically we are able to write both ancient Sumerian, ancient Egyptian, and Paleo-Hebrew, because there was a word that was mentioned by Batakane when he said that are these the only 22 letters that are going to be used in the Bantu? I'll just say this is like a nursery of trying to understand the few words first, because of course there's a whole lot of vocabulary else needed with other images, because images are just limitless, right? So this is an example of how it can be written in a book, and there's other examples. Gabe, could you take two? Yeah, you can go. Wait, you didn't finish them, but it's all right. It's all right. The example will be seen. So there's ancient Sumerian, ancient Egyptian, and Paleo-Hebrew, all written in one sentence. These are alphabets, and these are fashions I'm used to writing. It looks like it requires so much art, but a child can learn it, and I can learn it, and you can learn it how to write it at a fast speed, faster than you expect. Brother Gabe, you can take it to the other form of writing. Just the next picture, yeah. So these are all pictographic formats of how you can write. So uh a lot of people could say, oh, these are cartoons, these are stickmen, these are, of course, this is a form of writing, this is a form of writing. It's like Chinese writing or Mandarin, or maybe you're trying to write you try to write how the ancient Indians used, the Native Americans used to write. There's all sorts of ways people across the world used to write, but this is how we write it in the book, and this is how we want to train people how to write in the books. It doesn't mean get rid of the Latin alphabet. It's good to be aware of every form of language as best as you can, and it's also good to get to know the forms of writing that you can get to know. So I say that that's the example that I can give, Brother Batikani.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this. I can see the Hebrew, the ancient Paleo Hebrew pictograms. I can see other, like you said, the Egyptians. I'm curious, why did you use all of this? Both the ancient Hebrew, the Phoenician, the uh, uh, hieroglyphs. Was it to bring a completion, or was it if somebody was to say, no, I mean, we're not going to use that. That's too Egyptian. But then I think even before, even as I'm asking a question, I'm gonna just say made a comment is the fact that even what we call ancient Hebrew is supposed to be Canaanite, and we're not supposed to marry Canaanite people. So but I still want to hear your point. Just why did you bring all these languages together to create this common language, and then this writing system, and was it for completion, like to bring all the letters together, or was it something that was inspired for a different other reason?
Okay, this is the reason why. Now there are certain pronunciations that you're not going to find within the 22-letter list of the Paleo-Hebrew um, letters. Like, for example, we as Israelites, since we've been scattered across the world, there are certain pronunciations we adopted even by interacting with Canaanites, as you mentioned, marrying Canaanite women and getting into Egypt. There's a lot of different pronunciations we adopted, and when we can only find those pronunciations within the ancient writings of people who are amongst us as Israelites that are not Israelites. For example, we have the sound nga. Nga, nga. There's some things that say nga, and there's others that have the vocal sound like the Kosa or the Zulu. They go oh oh, you know. So how do you write that, and how do you pronounce that, and what people haplogroup can you find in the form of writing that used to use such and what pictures did they use to express such sounds? So you can realize that Paleo-Hebrew or Paleo-Phoenician is not going to give you the answer to every form in which Bantu language ended up to be the way it is. So at least it tells us a story that the core foundation of Bantu language is within Paleo-Hebrew, okay? But it can also be found in other dialects of people who did not speak Hebrew, people that were speaking Hamitic languages, etc.
Thank you both. Thank you, brother Gabriel and brother Solomon. I think definitely we're coming to the end of a session, and I appreciate both of you for being here with us, and I appreciate you to our audience for being able to stay till the end of the session. And I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your opinions. So if you can, please write them in the comment section. We will all be able to respond to you in a way that we can. If you have any question, if you have any insight or any suggestion, or even anything you'd like to share with us within this particular subject, you're welcome. Just reach out in the comment section, and we'll be able to get to get to you as soon as we can. Other than that, I appreciate you, and I thank the Most High for this opportunity to be here together. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.
Would you like to walk in the appointed times of the Most High? Download the Bantu Biblical Calendar app, free at www.bantubiblicalcalendar.com.
Get the book Sunset to Sunset, Our Bantu Calendar, and discover more about Bantu people's culture, languages, spirituality, and migration history as evidence to prove without a shadow of a doubt that Bantu people are the original biblical Israelites. Learn about the original timekeeping of the ancient calendar of Sabbaths, new moons, and feast days, as these factors unveil the true location of the Promised Land. Find the book on Amazon and on YouBuy for people in Africa. Email the author at yahundebatakane@gmail.com.